More montage! More montage! More montage! Creed 3 released a couple of weekends ago here in 2023 and is directed by Michael B. Jordan, who made his directorial debut with this movie, but is mainly known for his acting performances in films such as Fruitvale Station, Black Panther, and this Creed franchise as Adonis Creed. And of course, this movie is also starring Michael B. Jordan and is also starring Tessa Thompson, Johnathan Majors, Wood Harris, Florian Monteu, and Felicia Rashad. Adonis Creed has recently retired from the world of boxing and is now a fight promoter and runs the Creed Gym. However, one day he is confronted by a former friend of his from his childhood who has just recently gotten out of prison and looking for a second chance. So Adonis gives Damien a membership to his gym where he starts training to become the next #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. However, things with Damien are not as they seem, because through a whole bunch of backdoor dealings and kind of sudden coincidences, he finds himself in the title picture, but then we realize that, oh, he may have been playing Adonis Creed the entire time for a fool. Now, I have praised the Creed franchise for what it did for rebooting this franchise, doing a requel, as I found out that's an actual term from the Scream franchise, is what we call these reboot/sequel things with an established franchise. But up until this point, Rocky has been in every single picture, but apparently Sylvester Stallone read the script for this movie and didn't really like it, and they didn't want to change anything, so he just bowed out and said, no, I don't want to be a part of this. And you know what? I think that's one of the best things about this movie, is that we've established this brand new section of this franchise that's just dealing with Adonis Creed, and now here's a movie where he's carrying it all himself. And I really like that. We don't need to keep going back to Rocky. He has his own life. He had his own life in the ring and as a trainer. We can move on with this new character. We don't need him. However, I do think if Rocky was there, we would have gotten a much better training montage for the final fight than we did. The montage in here is not even like 5 minutes long. It's very underwhelming. That's one of the best things about this franchise, is that training montage that you get for getting to that final fight. And really, this film took a different approach to the final fight training montage. Really, the whole thing is its own training montage leading up to the fight between Adonis Creed and Damien. Because you look at their relationship with each other and how it became estranged, how they became separate, and then how they reconnected. But then we find out that Damien is kind of a prick and has been playing Adonis Creed this entire time just to fast track him to the World Heavyweight Championship. So I guess if you look at it, the whole thing is a training montage. I just wanted to see the typical, like, music playing in the background, some muscular men lifting up like tires and sledgehammers and having their muscles like bulge out of their skin. Come on, that's what we want from training montages from the Rocky movies. Let's do it. And I feel part of that is due to Michael B. Jordan's directing. I'm sure he's a very confident director, and I think he does an okay job with this movie for the most part. I do feel, though, there are things in this movie that may have been cut down for time. Maybe something from the studio saying, hey, we need to shorten this movie up a little bit. You gotta start trimming and editing throughout here. And I think because he's a first-time director, maybe he was a little bit more easily succumbed to that request from studio producers. Because you go back and watch the trailer and you see a couple of scenes and a couple of interactions between characters that aren't in this movie. So I'm definitely thinking that there's a lot left on the cutting room floor. Maybe we'll get like an extended cut when it comes out on Blu-ray or 4K. Like I said, I think Michael B. Jordan as the director of this movie does an okay job. I think there are some pacing issues in the middle of this movie where it doesn't feel like it's clipping along or the energy seems to slow down a lot. I will say, when it comes to his directing style, he is great when it comes to the fighting. I read in several interviews that his main idea behind all the fights was based on like anime cartoons and anime fights that you see, and you definitely get that. The fights in this movie are the most stylized fights that we have had in this entire franchise. You see little clips where the punch is landing in someone's sternum, and you see all the sweat like ricocheting and bouncing off of their skin because of the impact of what's happening in the front of their body. It's beautiful cinematography. It's a great little style device. And then when we get to that final fight between Damien and Adonis, you have the whole crowd who's chanting both their names and chanting after each and every blow. And all of a sudden we switch a little bit, and all the crowd is gone. All we see is just blackout. There's no lights on in the audience. All we see and all we hear is the breathing and the grunts and the footwork and the punches from our two main characters. It feels secluded, it feels focused, because all it is just the hatred that these two have for each other and the resentment that they have for each other. I frickin' love it. In every single Rocky movie that we've had the audience in the background. Oh, this is a fight. This is a filmed fight. This is a staged fight. Here, it is a staged fight, but all that shit in the background, all the audience watching on, it doesn't matter. What matters is the focus that these two have on each other and the fight that they have with each other. That's the only thing that matters here, and I love that style. There's also a ton of work outside of the ring and outside of the boxing world. We see Adonis's interaction with his daughter, who is now, I wouldn't say a teenager, but maybe like 8 or 9, and we see a lot of scenes that are just spoken through ASL, and I really appreciate that. A lot of times in movies, if you have ASL happening, the characters will be talking and speaking what they're saying, which I think is what they're supposed to do, or what they're instructed to do from ASL instructors, because it makes them not forget how to speak or to speak when they're trying to vocalize something. But I like just the use of ASL in this movie, and no talking, and it just brings a new light to that language that I think more people need to appreciate and to learn. We also see the business side of boxing, which I really appreciate. It's something that you don't see a lot in the early Rocky films. You have a fight because, it's Rocky and it's an underdog. We have to have these things, it's a poetic story. But here we see a lot of like the booking decision, and oh, this guy is injured. No, we can't move the fight. That's going to cost a lot of money. So now we got to put someone in there. We have to make money here. I appreciate that because it's a more truthful representation of boxing. Boxing is more of like a business transaction now, as opposed to the perceived notion of what boxing was like back in the 70s with Rocky. Rocky was about the title, it was about earning your spot in the world. No, it's not. It's about money. They both got paid very handsomely in the first Rocky film. Take the title out of it, it was still a nice little payday for each other. I'm not sure where the Creed franchise goes from here, because they have already dealt with Creed retiring. Is this going to be a situation where the next Creed film he's going to unretire again? Are we going to use the same trope over and over and over again? Not sure if there's going to be another one after this, because that could get very boring. It happened with Rocky, and it's kind of starting to happening with Creed. I don't want it to see it flesh out and happen with what happened with Rocky and Rocky 5. I don't want to get there with Creed, but I think they've backed themselves a little bit into a corner with how they're handling this character and how he's already retired. This is like already his second retirement. So this may be the end, and if it is the end, I think this is a very fitting finale for the character of Creed. If it continues, I wouldn't be upset at that at all. I love this character, I love this franchise, so whatever they decide, I think it's great. And Michael B. Jordan, I think this is a nice first outing for him as a feature film director, and I think he has anywhere but up to go from here. I'm gonna give Creed 3 3.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I am above average.
So guys, if you've seen Creed 3, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.